turns out.
God,
Not sure it's all on.
these things are good.
Are they? What are they?
Yetis,
Oh, right.
if we can mention brand names on this show.
Well, they don't pay us any money, but I don't really see why not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they should.
Well,
Any brand would want to hook up with us.
you'd reckon so. I think we're public. We'll know any second now. People let us know pretty bloody quick, I reckon. We're live on the Facebook stream, back after a little bit of a break, so make sure that you can hear the audio. If anyone wants to give us a shout in the comments that they can hear audio, yeah, they do that, but I'm still paranoid. You know how it is. Rightio. I reckon we're just about good to go. We're 7:30.
Oh,
Game on.
g'day.
Ladies and gentlemen, first episode of Dean and Nerve Spin Doctors 2026.
Ep1.
Episode 1, episode 46, episode 85. We've kind of lost a little bit of track, but for all things in the real world, life happens. What have you got there?
No, just
Oh, checking out the viewers. So, I'm Dean McRae. I'm one of your hosts out of our little Spin Doctor party here that we have every Thursday night. I'll do my disclaimer. I don't answer to fucking anybody. I'm owned by nobody. And I say exactly what I think, and I try to make the information that I share to be as accurate as possible, as honest as possible. And if I do get something wrong, I'm usually the first bloke to go, oh, last week I said the following and I was kind of out of order. And my co-host...
my name's Anthony Irvine. I'm a councillor on Temora Shire Council, but the views I express here are mine and mine alone. To that end, I'm also a candidate for the upcoming New South Wales state elections in March 2027. And, you know, I'm a fisherman. I'm a
husband, a father,
yeah,
average Joe,
yeah,
a sign writer.
a lot of things. So actually, let's start off with something good. 2026, officially that marks 40 years in the sign industry, officially.
Officially? Look at you go.
So I started my apprenticeship in 1986.
Yeah, right. I was born in 1981, just so we can be clear on.
Yeah, so that means I'm
We're
really old, and that's why I actually wear this hairdo. So 40 years in the trade officially. I worked with a guy on and off, just part time, for a few years prior to that. It's been good. It's been good to me. I've seen a lot of changes, but I still really do get a kick out of the work part of it. There's parts of every job that I don't get a kick out of.
I think that's every industry and every job.
That's what I mean. And it wouldn't matter. And I think if someone said to me,
how are you, Matt?
What's the biggest change? I would say the corporatisation of Australia.
Yep.
When I first started, I started my apprenticeship in the start of 86, and I started my own business at 1990 when I finished my trade. Back in 1990, invariably when I was doing a job, I was talking to the boss, the owner of the business. More often than not, they were family-owned businesses or small partnerships, and you were talking to the person who owned the business. Now, what I've noticed in the last 40 years in the industry, and certainly in the last 36 years as a business owner, is the corporatisation of Australia, the hurdles and the challenges and the cost increases and the impediments they've put in front of the small business owner are just making it almost unbearable for a lot of businesses. I saw some pretty ugly figures on the costs in the hospitality industry and the profit margins or lack thereof. And the
hospitality's always been an extremely low profit margin business, and it's getting worse.
Well, the insolvencies last year were trending up, and they were the worst for a period of years. And the expectation is, with further pressures on the cost of living, maybe a little bit less disposable income in the hands of the consumer, that even that's going to become more difficult. And like I say, it's just the corporates are getting bigger. Is there any coincidence that the government and the corporates are in bed together? No. It's just purely the way things are done. And I think it's to the detriment of the community. I think I think it was much more fun when people owned their own businesses and chartered their own courses. And there used to be a future and a profit.
Need more volume. So we are having that little volume thing that we thought we had. I don't know what's causing that. Appreciate that.
Go to your microphone. Okay, now go to you need to. Yeah, select.
Yeah.
Go back to there.
Let's see if we can modify that a little bit. That one
Select
there, you reckon? Yeah. Let's try that. Give us a shout out, Dale, if that's improved the game a little bit.
That should improve things out of sight.
Well, hopefully. We'll find out in a second. Dale will let us know. Dale's all over this like a fat kid on a cupcake.
But our meters are looking better already.
Looking better?
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Bloody technology. It's beautiful when it works.
I can't wait this year. It's going to be hilarious in some respects. It's going to be interesting because councils have to live stream their meetings.
As they fucking should.
As they should. And it is something that I am so looking forward to. I'm so happy to see. Ron, Uncle Ron, you have kicked a massive goal
That was a positive one. Well done, Ron.
Because people need to see how their councillors vote. They need to see how their councillors conduct themselves. They need to see how their councillors debate matters and what actual...
what's going on behind closed doors in those meetings, and more to the point, right? Because the old argument's always been, well, if you want to know, you need to come to the meetings, like, because everybody's got all day to fucking drop everything and race down and parade around in there. Bullshit. I want to be able to, at my leisure, jump in, grab the recording and go, all right, it's 10 o'clock at night, I'll grab a beer and I'll sit down and I'm going to watch this bullshit and I'm going to see who I'm going to call out when I have to call them out and I'm going to say exactly what I think.
Even if you live on a property and you're 30 k's from town, but there's one issue that you want to see debated and you can actually look at the agenda and you can sit there and you can have that on in the background while you're doing some work in the workshop or whatever on your laptop.
Yeah.
And then you can just swing across and go, and you can listen to the debate and you go, oh yeah, okay, oh geez, I'm surprised that person said that. I had a different opinion of them.
I didn't realise that Councillor Irvine was a stark raving communist who wants us all to hand over our guns.
Yeah.
He pretended like he wasn't.
Exactly.
But that's the point. The point is full transparency should be a thing, and the fact that they've been so determined to hide it for so long has been a travesty.
And I think the biggest disappointment that I find is when you get the minutes of a meeting and you see the votes went 8-1 against. Like, say I'm the one and all the other councillors have voted 8. I might have put forward some very cogent arguments. And I think it'll be really helpful for the community to actually hear that debate.
Absolutely, and more to the point, we all know, certainly in our local electorate, guys. Now, I guess it's going to be, I'll have to preface some of this by saying I've had a little bit of an explosion in online activity of late. So I do suspect there's going to be a lot of people who may tune into this who aren't in the Temora LGA.
Yes.
But the things we discuss here that Councillor Irvine's going through, there are councillors all over the country going through similar stuff. So I guess when you're sort of thinking to yourself, how does Temora Shire Council potentially and this Anthony Irvine guy relate to wherever you are and wherever you live? Chances are, if you've got any very committed, similarly minded councillors in your local LGA, chances are they're facing the same things and they're going to be looking for the same sort of support this guy needs to be able to do what he's doing.
Oh, look,
if that helps.
I've been talking to a guy down in Tassie and he's calling for a royal commission into local governments in Australia.
I'd abolish the fucking lot, but I'm an extremist in that.
No, and this is the thing. There probably is a place for local government because it is at that local level that they can do some really positive work. But in my opinion, the sector is in an absolute crisis.
Oh, you show me a council that hasn't been bankrupt in the last 10 years, hasn't had some sort of calamity, some sort of extreme scandal, some poor bastard being bullied, harassed, harangued, driven into oblivion by these bullies, and that's what they are.
If there is a council that hasn't had that occur, then generally they've had...
just haven't been caught yet.
No, well, generally they've probably had a really tight posse or a really tight gang that have just been ruling with an iron fist. And anyone who might stick their head up gets it punched off. that may be the case.
That's definitely the
But
case.
what we're seeing is it's just a sector in crisis. Now, Albury City Council, now that's a big council,
Yeah.
down on the border in southern New South Wales. There's another separate council, even though Albury Wodonga are, for all intents and purposes, the one entity. There's a Victorian council for Wodonga side of the river.
Yep.
There's a New South Wales council for the Albury side of the river. They see themselves as separate entities in that space, but as an aggregated entity, they've got some clout. Yeah. And it's a great part of the world. But they sacked their general manager, who'd been there for since around 2013, I recall. So we're talking about a dozen years.
Yep.
And the comments...
And that can be either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on
Well, the
just
comments
how
from the mayor were that he wasn't bringing enough energy to the role, and he compared him to a car that had run out of petrol.
Oh, good.
So...
Oh, good.
Now, but that to me still seems somewhat simplistic to be sacking. Look, apparently, and I haven't got all the facts, but apparently the general manager is still contracted until well into 2027.
Right.
So the residents and ratepayers of Albury are going to have to pick up the tab, and this guy may well, this car that's run out of petrol, may well just be able to sit beside the road and still pick up a paycheck for the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So
business as usual.
So it's going to cost them double to inject some energy, and when you cast the net, I don't know who the mayor has got in mind to replace this individual, but from my experience, general managers they're very thin on the ground.
Well, the ones that are available, best I can tell, are either that corrupt and that rotten it's not funny, or they're well on their way to being trained to be.
Well, that's your opinion,
Yeah,
and you're entitled to it.
I'm pretty sure I'll start the show by saying all these things are my opinions and that fucking whatever.
But I do see a sector that's in crisis. And look, there is, believe it or not, and this will sound...
No, I'm going home if you're going to say some nonsense.
This will sound strange coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I do have some sympathy for the role of the general manager.
Yeah, although I can't imagine it's a simple job.
Well, if you consider, and this is the power play that exists inside a council, and people don't really realise this. In a council, say Albury, for example. Now, you've got the mayor who's, I think his name's Kevin Mack.
Couldn't tell you, no idea.
I know his last name's Mack.
I can't even remember our general manager around here most of the time. I don't think she likes me very much, but I also don't give a fuck.
Now, if he's got the numbers in the council, the governing body engage the general manager. They hire the general manager and they can fire the general manager, which is what has occurred down at Albury.
Right, yeah.
So it can come down to something as simple as if the mayor has got enough support in the chamber and enough loyal, close, tight buddies in his gang.
Yeah, it's all gang warfare for sure.
Pretty much, he can just sack the general manager. Now, if they have a simple point of difference and a clash of personalities, whatever it might be, they can sack the general manager just like that. Now, there might be 4 councillors in that room who think the general manager is fantastic and doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it really does come down to this sort of... People get this impression that the governing body... But it's only like half the governing body plus one that actually determine. And even that half the governing body plus one may not be fully privy to everything that goes on. So it's a very sort of toxic... Machiavellian type of existence for a general manager to walk the tightrope to
appease his masters and appease enough of his masters while doing the job potentially to the best of their ability.
Bringing bad news
potentially,
to them. Bringing bad news to them in a timely fashion so that they might be able to make relevant decisions on it.
And more to the point, based on my experience with councils, not make relative decisions, work out how to frame it for the media before it becomes a problem. That seems to be the going rate around most councils.
But also the big trend, the majority of councils in New South Wales are running deficit budgets, So they're gradually going broke.
Well, they're all going to break. They're all.
Some of them are doing better than that. They're going broke rapidly.
And you know what? Oh, there's a part of me that wants to see them bankrupted as quickly as possible. Let's get this shit out of the way.
Yes.
Bankrupt you arseholes because you're pissing fair up the wall. Ethan just made mention. I've met Ethan in person. Really cool dude. Albury was the first permanent go-kart track he went to as a child, but that's off topic.
Well,
Mate, that's all right, because at some point during this program and during the last 400 programs, I'll go on a tangent about Christ knows what, depending on whatever's bugbearing me on the day. And Councillor Irvine will go on a bugbear tear at some point. And you know what? That's the beauty of this, is it's raw, it's uncut, it is what it is. So certainly don't apologise for that, buddy. I mean, obviously we've got certain fights we need to pick, certain asses we need to kick. Yes. But, you know, and we try to get through the things that we must do.
There's no real, and this is the whole thing, there's no real proper measurement of the performance of a general manager. Their role is to get on well with the mayor.
Kiss the mayor's ass is what they need to do.
If they kiss the mayor's ass, the mayor will take care of them and they'll stay in their job.
Yeah.
If they fall out with the mayor...
And it's a very cushy job, to be fair.
But if they fall out with the mayor, it's pack your bags and sayonara.
And look,
in most cases, in my opinion.
Well, but, you know, look, I guess in private enterprise, if I'm the boss of a company and you are my employee of some sort and you annoy the fuck out of me and I go, sorry, pal, grab your shit, fuck off, which has happened quite a few times over the years, that's when you kind of go, well, there's sort of a fair argument for that.
Yes,
the problem with this system is this is all using ratepayer money.
That's right.
This is all using the community's expectations.
Yes.
This is not, as a business owner, you're a business owner, if you and I fucking refuse to employ
you could have a
anybody
general manager comes into an operation and finds anomalies in the systems and finds comfortable arrangements that perhaps aren't appropriate.
Yes.
And they might take it upon themselves to try and tidy that up. Now, that might be uncomfortable for some members. They might find themselves actually doing a really good job but being moved on because of it.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's not the difference between private enterprise and someone employing someone else is it is your money and you direct it.
It's your business, it's your reputation, it's your company that goes bust
this isn't the mayor's money. This isn't the councillor's money.
Car.
It's the community's money.
Yeah.
And they've got some different levels of obligation.
Well,
in my opinion.
I think different levels of obligation and different expectations of what they should and shouldn't be allowed to do. Now, David Harry Lloyd. David, I'm going to assume you're a new watcher, but welcome aboard, mate. That's the more people that get onto this, the better, of course. Councillors are now generally campers using the vast number of opinions within their community to create more wishy-washy social arguments that usually get to be beyond their real scope of jurisdiction. Agree wholeheartedly. Roads, rates and rubbish, in my opinion, and reducing rates is more to the point. Instead of satisfying the local people and its infrastructure maintenance and general pickups of garbage and keeping the place tidy and functionally. The debt-ridden mindsets of these tryhards, as we know, tear on you out. No English there. Out the cost, waste, stupidity, and it just gets more expensive. My friend, I couldn't agree with you more.
And I'm the same. Council are inserting themselves more and more and more into the community, into roles that they have
no fucking business being anywhere near.
Then you'll sit there at budget and they'll go, oh, we can't meet all the costs. And it's like, well, stop doing all the stuff that you don't have to do.
Absolutely.
And
stay in your lane, pick up the rubbish, because our bin men here are fucking legends. Absolute great guys.
Yes.
But that's cool. That's council. Oh, the parks. Look, I'm sceptical on parks. I reckon we could rent them out and privatise them just about to a point. Certainly elements of it. But our park blokes do some great work. Our town looks really good in a lot of places. I'm not going to shit on any of the working force there.
No.
But when you've got a mayor who waffles on about he's going to effectively employ somebody to go and work out who's living in which houses... what was that role that we read in the paper last year? It was
what were they doing?
They're trying to do a vacant home audit.
Yes.
Fuck off. Mind your business. If I own a home and there's nobody living in there, that's zero to do with council.
And what on earth do they hope to achieve? And are they going to achieve it by some social engineering exercise?
Of course they are. Now, I made a little video the other week, Anthony. I don't know if you saw it. I know you...
I've seen some.
There are some people who turn around. It's kind of funny, right? Because I'll go... Did you see the video that Dean made the other day? And I know my mate Chris his response to a lot of his sons' mates who have kind of cottoned on to me in recent times. And he goes, why would I watch his fucking videos? I talk to him almost every day.
Yes.
You're a bit the same. We talk quite a lot. But one of the ones I made the other day, I actually tackled into the Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 stuff.
Yes.
All the stuff that was complete conspiracy theory 20 years ago when I first I discovered it and went, this is some insidious shit, right? And I looked at it and I went, well, it's on their website. It's not a conspiracy. They're advertising this sort of stuff. And then you're watching it creep into different councils. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And they're building up different portions of it in this council electorate over here. We're doing a bit of this shady shit and we'll test it and we'll see what'll work. And then over in this one, we'll do these little elements of shady shit. And eventually it'll all come into one great big 15-minute city and everybody's fucked. Now, I was a little bit more elaborate than that in the video. It got a lot of attention. I still believe to this day that that's where they're headed. That's where they're pushing. The councillors, there are good councillors. Yourself, I can think of Andrew Thaler off the top of my head. Carolyn White down in Victoria, one of you guys mentioned before, great mate of mine. And apparently she's right under the fucking gun now. So I might show up down at one of their council meetings and just really fuck their day up.
There's a heap of really good people.
That's right. And, you know, I can't name them all.
And then there's a heap of people in there just trying to roll the road for themselves.
Absolutely. So
and there's a heap of people in there who need validation and who are really, really insecure.
Oh, well, fucking plenty of them in there who have absolutely nothing else in their life. And look what I'll go off and be a counsellor here and fucking
I want to get back to
happy
the
days. So when somebody like BC Guestia here sort of says, you know, they're supposed to be serving us and council, you know, is all part of the big plan, I absolutely agree. Ethan's mentioned this Nick Stakos. Well, mate, I had a good conversation with Carolyn, must have been 2 days ago, obviously when she announced she's sort of taking a little bit of a breather, and I'll run through with you in case you're not up to speed on what's going on down there. But I'd never even heard of this Nick Stakos jackass, but I think I'm going to become known to him, whether he likes it or not. He seems like a dead set fuckwit, so he might get a little bit of my attention over the next few weeks. Carolyn's a bit of a gun. She's been challenging things pretty aggressively in council, a bit like herself, a bit isolated. Yes. It's kind of outgunned, outmanned. Look, I said this to her face, ladies and gentlemen, when this come out. So there's been a bit of sexual harassment going there and a bit of that big bully boys on her. And she's a very pretty lady. Right? She's not hard to look at. And I kind of said to her, I said, well, look, I'll tell you straight, mate, because I've known it for a while. I said, I'm surprised you haven't been sexually harassed a lot more. To be perfectly honest, when you get down there in these fucking ego-driven wankers and they're running around in their little fiefdoms and whatever, and you've got a pretty girl in there causing a bit of havoc, I'm surprised there hasn't been more sexual harassment. I'm a bit surprised she didn't knock the butt. But, you know, give and take and whatever. And, you know, it's easy to say that in jest. When you've got some big or some powerful bloke bailing you up, it scares the fuck out of a lot of people.
It scares. There's heaps of different ways to intimidate someone. That's absolutely true.
And these people are skilled at it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if there's more than one of them doing it, and there's all sorts of different ways they do it. I've seen. No. It's real.
And
not even in a sexual sense, just in an intimidation sense.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes that's what that is as well, you know. So anyway, Carol's taking a little break. I'm going to implore anybody watching this, jump on her Facebook page, give her a follow, give her some support.
Yes.
Because you'd be really, really surprised. And I feel bad sometimes at the moment because my inbox gets full up and I get these comments and I can't comment on everything. I can't answer every fucking message.
No.
But I tell you what, when you're getting gunned at permanently like you've been for the last, how many years has it been now?
Well, believe it or not, I was only thinking about it today and it's not that long. We're approaching sort of like that 8-year mark.
Is that how long it's there? Fuck,
yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's 2026 and most of it blew up around sort of February 2018.
Well... Right, so you're looking around that time, and we'll give everyone a rundown since we've got a few new viewers and what have you. But you know, when you've been under the pump over those last couple of years, I've no doubt there's been some dark days and dark times. And
my darkest period, and for anyone who's not aware, the core of the issues that that actually started things at Temora Shire Council. I'd been a supplier and a consistent supplier for council for a long period of time. I'm talking, approaching 20 years. And I'd had a very strong and a good working relationship with council. I delivered what I consider to be really good value to the residents and ratepayers, and I never felt nervous accepting payment. I always thought I delivered great value for money. And I lived in the community, and it's a small town, so you know what I mean. You do get.
Oh, mate, I'd never heard anybody say a bad word about you for years, and I'd always been on that fringe outlaw kind of space.
So anyway, like I say, there's always personal clashes, but realistically, I've been in business since 1990, and I have an absolute. You can count on one hand the amount of disputes I've had of any note.
Yep.
However, council decided to dud me on a contract that they'd given me, and I stood up for myself, and then they just showed their true colours and really doubled. No, they really did. They doubled down, and they showed me a different side of council. And it was probably that early period where people that I had a different expectation of, I really didn't. I was quite naive. I actually thought that they had more integrity, more. I'd say just more integrity and more. I just thought they were better people than they actually turned out to be. And when I actually saw them gang up and start just covering up for each other and telling.
They started fucking lying. Is what they started doing.
And bullying.
Absolutely.
And just denying things that were rightfully mine, and then starting to they directed work away from me.
Well, they're still doing that.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Still doing that without a shadow of a
So they
doubt.
directed work away from me, and then there were rumours started circulating through the community that were negative towards me, and it was at that period where, and I'm the sort of guy, I'm frustrated when I don't understand what's going on, and I could not understand the people that I had trusted and the breakdown in these relationships that had been established over 18 years of mutual trust and respect. And when they were trashed, that was when I was at my worst. Once I understood what had gone on, and once I actually saw the true colours and the calibre of the people that I was actually dealing with, I sort of was pretty fine after that, and I've been quite pragmatic, and I can sort of get on with it, and I can understand it. And even to this day, there's still outstanding issues that we're still working through consistently. Now, to that end, okay, so the worst period for me was when I actually saw the true people I was dealing with, and their masks were removed.
Yep.
And they had these masks of respectability and integrity, and when I actually removed the mask, no, they were absolute scumbags.
Yep.
And that just blew me away. And particularly when these people put themselves forward as the leaders in the community, and they were just absolutely putrid. And then to see what they've done in the aftermath of that, and the efforts they've gone to, and the lengths they've gone to, and the nasty tactics they've employed, and look, but once I understood it, then it was just a case of, okay, well, I know what you are now, I will expose you.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done for the last 5 or 6 years. I got on council.
Well, I think you've been pretty successful in the space, really. Yeah.
I got on, and look, I've represented a lot of people that they were in the process of doing to other people what they'd done to me. Yeah. And I intervened, and I actually cut that off.
Well, they've been running unchecked and unchallenged for a fucking long time.
Absolutely.
And they certainly weren't happy with it. And to anybody out there, there's probably a local councillor in your area under a similar amount of guns. You know, it's a very target-rich environment at the moment.
And it has changed my life, and it has affected me financially. It's affected me in my relationships, and affected me probably in my health to some extent. However, you don't pick when they come at you, and it's just up to you how you deal with it.
Oh.
And in a small town, when they try and take everything away from you and everything that you've worked for 20 odd years to build, and try and ruin your reputation, well, what do you got? You got two choices.
Well, you either fight or you let them destroy you. And,
yes.
And then for me, I guess I think back to how many people they've destroyed in the interim
yes.
who didn't fucking fight back.
Yes.
Didn't have either the tools, the resources, the capability, yes. the fight in them.
Yes.
How many people have these people fucking destroyed by design
yes.
across the
country? And particularly when they gang up. Oh, as a sector.
As across the country.
Yes.
You know, and let's be fair, these are the little places that they get into because, you know, they wouldn't last 5 minutes on a bigger stage. They get chewed up and spat out pretty fucking quick, most of these people. Or they get punched in the head. To be fair, that's where it would happen, you know, a lot of these times.
Like I say, and they can't do it at an outside the protection racket type area. the public in the private sector because they would be exposed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've got all this protection that covers them up, and they've got all these rules that they manipulate and everything else. So anyway, to that end,
back. How are you, Fred? Good to see you, mate.
To that end, there's a couple of really interesting things coming up at the moment.
Do tell.
You'll recall the information that I'm seeking in regards to our ex-general manager's payments.
Yep.
So I put in a freedom of information request for that. That's been denied. So that's in the process. I imagine that'll be listed for hearing at NCAT shortly. I've got another matter that's also a freedom of information request that is listed for case conference on the 2nd of March. And we're also awaiting a decision from the 22nd of August last year. So we're rapidly approaching. We're 2 weeks off. We're at about the 24-week mark post hearing, pending a decision on that matter. So we've got one NCAT matter which refers to the remainder of the agreement with the ex-general manager.
Yep.
So that's...
Which realistically, that shouldn't even be a trick question. It's got me fucked while they're still fighting that.
But the thing that I find most frustrating about that is I'm a councillor on the council. I'm supposed to be a party to this agreement, but they won't actually give me a look at the agreement without me signing some sort of a
disclosure
a very restrictive non-disclosure agreement that would prohibit me from raising the issue with someone else if I had misgivings. That even means probably with fellow councillors or to get some advice outside of council. So I refuse to do so. I think that's ridiculous, and there's no way known I will ever sign a non-disclosure agreement that will stop me. Like, if I'm a party to an agreement, I want to know what the agreement is.
I reckon that's pretty sensible.
Yes,
just saying.
I think it's disgusting that this council would expect me to do that. However, that's their expectation, and we'll await decision on that. There's a couple of other matters, and realistically all we're doing is we're actually starting to uncover some really solid truths. You will recall that I've been, and these have been reported widely in the media, so council have given up any privilege in terms of confidentiality in regards to these matters. I've been censured a number of times from multiple codes of conduct, and the council have released this in the local Temora Independent and other news outlets as a media release to the public at large.
How's that shitty rag going? They still selling football papers?
I don't know. Now, I have, in the attachments to these final investigation reports that they've presented to council, they've got attachments such as the evidence the mayor may have given in an audio recording, the evidence that the general manager may have given in an audio recording. So I've requested all of that in my freedom of information request because, quite frankly, due process would dictate that if you're going to give evidence in a matter like this that could have negative impacts on your fellow councillor, then pretty much the public should know what evidence you've given, and that evidence should at least be...
it's just all about transparency.
Well, the evidence should be...
You were elected. Now, you've been elected twice to this council. You were elected with the second most primary votes in the little LGA. So it's fair to say the second most amount of people in Temora voted for you to be their eyes, ears, and voice on council. Yes. That's how it works, kids.
But because of my approach and my absolute
your non-willingness to
tenacity
lift the arse of
in pursuing accountability and transparency for the residents and ratepayers, there's quite a few members of the council, in my opinion, that don't want that level of accountability and transparency, and they're fighting tooth and nail to avoid that, and they resent my my wish to have that, and they're trying to battle against that. Now, I don't know why.
I know why, because it's some dodgy shit. It's covered up, and I don't fucking like it.
I haven't seen anything yet that is what I would consider
that egregious. That's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of comfortable arrangements that I'm not satisfied with. I have seen some situations where there's been some property disposed of, where there's been some transactions that, in my mind, weren't
not quite kosher, or a little bit. Hang on.
And they should have been handled differently. And I'm telling you, every time that something comes across in that space at the moment, I'm ensuring that I do call for the most fair and transparent process, so that there can be no thought that people have been favoured unfairly. But like I say, it's just a really tough space. And I don't know why. I just don't know what these people get out of it. I really don't. I understand, but like if you're getting advantage off the people that you're living in the community with, I don't know how you can actually walk among them and feel good.
Well,
yeah, we're all in this together, but I just want my piece of the pie a bit bigger than yours.
Now we're all in this together fucking statement is something that I have absolutely no faith whatsoever in.
No,
I haven't had
there's
any
an
faith
element
in
of
it
that.
It's
Now,
us.
there are a number of properties there's one property in particular that I know council disposed of, and it didn't go out to public tender.
Yes.
And that to me is not good enough.
Yep.
Now I'm sure there's other arrangements that I don't know about that would be equally.
And I can guarantee over the last 30, 40, 500 years, but a semi-common practice.
One of the things that disappoints me the most, and I think this really demonstrates how councils can get it so wrong. All right, now they did it for a reason, but I still don't think their reasoning was very sound. Back in the day, there was a consortium of local investors who wished to try and establish a plastics recycling facility in Temora.
I remember that. We were kids and it was in the paper every week and it was going to save the town and it was going to do all this.
Well, it's a great idea, and look, you can't knock people for trying.
No, God no.
I think the biggest issue, and I think it probably became apparent later on, was why would you put a facility like that so far away from where the source of the material is? And the source of waste recyclables is in the large population centres.
Yeah.
And you've put a factory right out in the bush, so all of a sudden you've given yourself a fair uppercut in terms of transport costs.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably, to my mind, would have been one of the major reasons why
obstacles to the success of that enterprise.
It probably broke down. But look, like I say, I'm just sitting on the outside having a look. Now, council had some industrial land available at the time, and council took it upon themselves to fund the construction of a fairly significant industrial workshop factory / some council-owned land. Now, the consortium, to my knowledge, leased the property for a period of time until it was apparent that this wasn't going to go ahead, and they basically wound it up. So council found themselves converting some public land and some public resources into this facility, found themselves without a tenant.
Yeah.
A fair bit of, I think there might have been a fair bit of egg on the face, and a little bit of, what are we going to do with this? Anyway.
And you know what? Failure happens.
Yes.
It can happen to anybody.
But this is where
how are you going to deal with your failure?
That's right. This is where it gets a bit silly. I don't know how the sale process came about, but I know the property. I don't know it got put out to public tender, but I know a local investor bought the property, and for a period of time, the property remained vacant, and then after a period of time, for whatever reason, the council determined that their works facility didn't quit, and then they arranged to lease back the building that they'd sold to the investor.
Yeah, right.
Now, they paid the investor over a 10-year period significantly more in rent than the investor had paid them for the property. And then, after that, they then converted a further approximately $2 million of council funds into the purchase back of this property, which was at a significantly higher price than they'd sold it for originally. And if anyone wants to look at any set of recent minutes, in the councillors' information papers towards the end of the minutes, there'll be a report of council loans, and you can see a up-to-date report on the outstanding balance still remaining to be paid on that facility that we once owned. We sold not much money, we leased back for a lot of money, and then we paid a significant amount of money to buy back. So, as a businessman, I think that was pretty dumb. That's my professional.
I'm imagining some. There was some nice gifts handed around, possibly
No,
a few beers shouted around the joint.
You can't say that, but I know.
I can say that I suspect that without any. I'm not saying there's any evidence of, but fucking we're going to live in the real world, and this is the sort of shit that goes on all day.
But I'm just telling you that there's an individual there who made a very, very smart business move, and it's been it was very, very productive for them over a good period of time. And it was, I've got my eye out constantly for deals like that, and I fail to find them.
It sounds like one I'd love to get in on. I don't mind throwing bit of money at a few projects and I'll try different things, goodness me.
If you can get into something like that, well, it's just a winner. So anyway,
isn't it just?
That's the type of stuff that people do when they're dealing with other people's money. I don't think there's a greater demonstration of sort of how bad it can be, but no one seems to flag it. Hang on, this doesn't.
It doesn't smell right. Doesn't pass the pub test.
Yes.
It doesn't benefit the ratepayers in any way, shape, or form.
No, had the thing sat there and just basically collected dust for 2 years, we still would have been a mile better off. Yeah. And why it took a couple of years after the sale to then do the analysis as to perhaps the council move in, I think that analysis would have been much more sensibly undertaken at the time that they found themselves with the building vacant.
Well, look, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room.
But,
I didn't have the evidence that they obviously had at the time to make the decisions they made.
No.
But I, as a ratepayer, would like to think that the people in those buildings at that time with that information would have made the best decision with the ratepayers in mind.
I'm talking about decisions made by previous councils a long time ago, and I'm not privy to the reports that they were given and the advice they were given at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at that as a deal. I understand that, look, I understand that because I know that debt is still on our books. And believe it, I can actually probably just grab a bit of paperwork right now and give you an updated figure if you want to just take over.
I can do that, no worries at all. And Andrew Thaler, welcome aboard, illustrious councillor. Are you still a councillor? Have they banned you yet? Have you been arrested this week? I don't know what's going on there, mate, but councillor up there in snowy Monaro. Good to see you on board, mate. Now, Matty McCauley's asked us about One Nation. Not quite sure what you'd like to know about One Nation. I like where they're headed with a few policies. I like some of the stuff they're doing. I think they're having some success. I like Pauline better than I like Susan Lay, David Littleproud or Albo. I am not personally ready to join One Nation or necessarily participate with them. In saying that, any good candidates that they do throw out and produce at either a state or federal level, on a personal level, I'll be more than happy to support. I also think a lot of Australians who are a little bit confused about our voting system, which is by design. It's not because you're a dummy, it's because the system's deliberately fairly well broken. The reality of it is the likelihood of Pauline being the Prime Minister at the next federal election, I've got it pegged at about slim to none. It would take absolute agriculture, complete proportions of variable outings to make that even close to a reality. I think for One Nation at the moment, the goal should be to increase the amount of representation in the Senate. I think that's very achievable. I also think that it's achievable for them to get a few lower house seats federally, and hopefully they have a good run at state. I don't pray to any political party. My longest tenure was involved with the Libertarian Party when they were known as the Liberal Democrats. They're still my preferred party policy-wise, although I'm not a member. I'm not actively involved with any political party. I'm wholly independent. Libertarian peak. I think they get it right 99.9% of the time. And then I look at One Nation, and at the moment I think One Nation deserves the resurgence it's getting. But yeah, as Bee's mentioned there, I'm not convinced that she's the answer. Look, I don't think any political saviour is your answer. I don't think anybody who's looking to Donald Trump to save you is on the right track at all. It really comes down to individuals doing their part and then having the courage as individuals to stand up and keep fighting forward. There is no way, there are no heroes. There isn't going to be a hero. Albo's probably going to win in what they'll call a landslide next go around again, because the opposition is so feebly incompetent. They are the biggest bunch of useless pricks.
And Albo's imported a heap of bloody imports that'll vote for him because
look, he's done all the right things that a good communist fucking leader would do.
And he's going to make sure that anyone who speaks against him and tells the truth is going to shut down.
Absolutely, we're going to be getting no time. I'm surprised that I've still signed on my front door that says terrorists not welcome. I'm surprised I haven't had a knock on the door yet. But look, as far as things go, anybody who's sitting there waiting for some political saviour to come and rescue you, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. I do think if you like a local candidate or even a party that you want to help out, it's better to do something than to do fuck all. And there's more than enough people that have been doing fuck all for 20 years, which is why we're in this horrible situation where Albo's going to shit it in for the next election as well with his gang, and they are operating as an organisation that has every intention of being there for a whole nother series. They're going to obliterate the Lib Nats because they're a disgraceful wet blanket. They're fucking hopeless. They've got no opposition, and Pauline's miles off being anywhere close to being capable. And you're right there, Andrew. Pauline becoming PM, zero chance because she's not in the lower house. I do think that he ran a strategy and got herself a lower house seat. She could potentially do some shit there. There is a lot of precedence, and it's a very minor one. You'll probably recall from quite a long time ago. I think it was around the time old Harold Holt did the right thing as Prime Minister, best act any Prime Minister in the country's ever had, and fucked off and disappeared. But there is a minor precedence for somebody arguably switching from the Senate into the lower house and becoming PM, but it is very, very slim pickings. It's not going to be an easy, Pauline's going to be Prime Minister. I just don't see it. It's not going to happen.
Quick update.
How'd you go?
Loan amount, $2 million. Interest rate, 3.1%, so it was a government loan. Annual payments, $283,242. We've only got an outstanding balance at the 31st of the 10th, 2025, of about $197,000.
Oh, good.
So we'll own it this year, own it in 2026.
That's lovely, and that was a deal that all really started when I was still in primary school. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Primary school or early high school. It was when the plastics thing was running around.
Yeah, we built it, we owned it, we sold it, we rented it back, and then we bought it back.
BC, look, that's how I look at it. Got to save ourselves. We've got to manage ourselves. We've got to stand up together as people.
And in the meantime,
not looking for political heroes. And
in the meantime, we know. Look, out here, we are on our own. You've only got to look at the punishment that's being meted out to everyone west of the Great Dividing Range relative to gun ownership, gun licensing. We're being punished for the crimes of people so far removed from our day-to-day, it's not funny.
They're so far removed from their own fucking day-to-day, the delusional fuckwits, half of them.
And look, at the I went to a meeting in Junee hosted by our local member for Cootamundra, Steph Cook. And Steph, while she's in opposition and she's pushing shit uphill to try and she obviously can't have the legislation changed because it's been passed.
Yeah.
The only thing she can hope to do is to try to affect the drafting of the regulations so that they may be somewhat workable. So the legislation's passed, it's not getting reversed.
Yeah.
But there'll be a regulation that accompanies that, which is actually the working rules. And Steph's got an opportunity to actually influence that. And she had a meeting she called a meeting at the Junee Ex-Services Club there a couple of weeks ago on a Friday night. And she asked for the executive of all the local gun clubs in her electorate to turn up. And there was about 50 odd people turned up on a Friday night, and some of them came from good distances away to represent 10. And what I wanted to understand was, and they were many and varied. And what became so obvious to me in the room was just how bad the legislation is, how disrespectful, how harmful it is to country people. I spoke to a guy who's an elderly fellow. He would have had 10 years on me. And
that's like a dinosaur. You're like a pensioner.
But he said to me that he owned upwards of 50 firearms.
Yep.
And he had bought those firearms legally.
Yep.
With money that he'd paid tax on. And he was a guy who enjoyed the sport. He bought firearms that he hoped to give to his grandchildren as they came of age.
Yep.
He was just a genuine guy who'd done everything right. Now, he's got to sit there now, and the way the legislation's drafted, he's going to have to get rid of about 40-odd guns.
Oh, better yet, don't tell them when you've got them, keep them, bury them until you get them.
Well, the whole problem is they did the last situation was that everyone, in good faith, because they said that they'll never take them off them.
Oh, yeah, good faith.
There was some
good faith arrangements with fucking corrupt
there was some promises given. There were some promises given following the 1990s gun reforms that people bought into, and now they've been basically betrayed.
Of course, business as usual.
And it's just disgusting. There was one fellow there who, they're setting a cap of 10 at this stage, and it's not determined 100%, but that's what they're discussing. There's one guy there who does feral pest control on contract for the National Parks and Wildlife Service. Now, part of his obligations as a contractor, because he travels so far to remote locations, he has to take a shotgun, a high caliber rifle, a medium caliber rifle, and a 22 caliber small caliber rifle. But he also has to take a spare of each of those. That's 8 firearms. So in order for him to undertake that work, he has to take 8 firearms. Now, if he happens to be in a clay target club and shoot clay targets on the weekend, he might have he might have a skeet gun or a down the line shotgun or a sporting shotgun for different clay target disciplines. Well, he's out of guns.
Yeah.
He's over his threshold already, and all he's done is have the requirement as required by the government to do the contract work.
Yes.
There's guys there who do target shooting who'll have 5 to 6 different rifles for all the different disciplines.
Yeah.
I myself target shooting. Now, picture this. Every year there's a carnival, 3-day carnival they have down on the border around Echuca, Barham, and Pine Grove, and they call it the Golden Rivers. And there's 3 days of clay target shooting at the 3 different clubs.
Yep.
If I'm going to travel all the way down to Echuca, which is about a 4.5 hour drive from here, it's an equivalent drive to Sydney. Right? I'm going to a reel.
Yeah.
And if I get down there and I've got one firearm, and
something goes wrong with that one firearm,
it malfunctions. If a firing pin breaks or something just something goes amiss with that firearm, I can't get it fixed on the spot. Now, I could go back to the car, put the other firearm together, go back and continue on with the sport. It's a bit like saying to Steve Smith, you can only take one bat to England for the test matches.
Yeah.
But he'll turn up at the test matches with 6 bats. And he'll go, oh, well, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. I want this one today.
Yeah.
Well,
of course. And look, this is where we're heading. Right now, I still see people in comments of various things and various pages go, see, this is why we're going to get Labor out. What are you going to fucking replace them with? Another syphilitic, parasitical, dead shit organisation. The problem isn't getting Labor out. The problem is taking our fucking country back.
I agree with Ethan's comment here. We really do need a Brexit. We need to have a government that governs for us. And the last thing, we're getting governed by people who live in inner city Sydney and inner city Melbourne.
I agree wholeheartedly, but I'm even at the point where I go even further. I go, we need a separate fucking country, and we need to go, listen, you commie fucks, you can have what you have. Yeah. We're taking what we have, and I can guarantee you by the end of it, the free marketeers and people who believe in a bit of freedom and liberty will be living far better. They should never have allowed them Berlin fucking Wall and never have had to knock the fucking thing down. We're letting them build a Berlin Wall right now, digitally, financially. You know, rates went up last week, right? I made a little video about that was coming, and of course it went up. And their argument is inflation. The only thing that causes this much inflation is government spending because they spend a lot on because they're retarded. And I know that's a naughty word that hurts some people's feelings. I don't.
And also, they
care.
put policies in place that increase the cost of living.
Absolutely,
So
by design.
Yes, their power policies have massively increased inflation. Increased power prices are fed through in so many areas of the economy.
Yes.
So if you're a manufacturer and your power prices go up, your prices go up. So they'll say, oh, you know, the price of wheat's gone up.
Yeah.
That drives into the economy. Well, it's only because the power's gone up.
Power's gone up. The wages go up. The
whole thing.
Everything goes up. Everything goes up. We're being raped and pillaged by design.
Yep.
Now herein lies the problem. Again, government's not going to fix it.
But people aren't going to fix it either. We're too disjointed. We're too individual. No one will give up. Like, we're going to have to get to the point where we're going to go, look, we're going to have an individual there who's going to have it 60% right. We're going to have to settle for that.
Well,
because you're not going to get someone who's got it 100% right for everyone.
No, that's very true. Where we're heading, though, is we are heading to those 15-minute cities. You will be living on rations.
That's obvious. That's the point that I was making earlier in the show about how the whole country's being corporatised, to the point that we're going to have 2 or 3 supermarkets. We're going to have 1 or 2 hardware providers. There's going to be
Well, it's not even going to be that, because you're not going to be allowed to go and buy them. You'll be allocated what you're allowed to fucking have. You won't be going down to any hardware store.
But where are you
They're going to show up and you're not going to work.
Yes, that's what I mean. So
that's all fucking done.
Yes.
Forget about all that shit. This is where we're gunning for now.
What are you going to eat?
You will eat your government ration.
And who supply that?
The government will hand you a little bag of
Bill Gates.
Well, we all know how that's all fucking going, but this is where we're heading to.
Yeah, it's Bill Gates going to provide you with.
He's going to give you his fucking lab-created fucking meat because we can't have cows and beef because the farting fucking causes climate change. We're all going to die, and probably I've got to say at least 40%.
In the meantime,
40% of the population believe that is true.
In the meantime, they're all guns from the country to be overrun by feral protein.
Fucking overrun by feral protein, overrun by feral people from third world countries who don't want to assimilate.
No, but
people who want to come here and assimilate, you're welcome. To the people who don't, fuck you to the moon.
But the point is, we've got a situation now where deer are out of control, feral pigs are out of control, rabbits are out of control, dogs are out of control. Now we're going to eat foxes, but and even rangeland goats.
You're not going to be able to. It's going to be against the law.
But just
forget about it.
Yes, in the meantime, so we're not going to be able to eat animals, yet the animals are going to be eating us out of house and home.
You're not going to be allowed to grow your own gardens and fucking...
Yes.
The food's going to be... Here's the communists, right? They don't believe in private property. Now, I saw a video today. I'm waiting to find the actual legislation on it before I get too excited about it, because I've had elderly aunts reach out. Now, everything the guy said, I believe 100% is happening. I just haven't been able to find the legislation to back up what he said. So I'm not going to talk about the legislative information. But it's basically where they are going to be pushing pensioners into. If you own your own home, you will either be forced into a fucking carved shoebox to live in, whether you like it or not. The government will buy the house off you or take it from you. They don't give a fuck.
They'll put the tax in.
There's going to be a rule. No, they're just going to start commanding it. And if this guy's video is accurate, which I think it is, until I can find his legislation, and when I find the legislation, they're fucked, because I'm going to go at him hard as fuck. But they're basically going to be saying, you're going to be moving in. They're going to show up at the front of your nana's house, who's living in a house by the time prick, and they'll have a busload of fucking third world Somalis or whatever the fuck it is, and I don't care if you're a good Somali A grade, if you're not, fuck you. But they're going to show up with a busload of these people, and they're going to go, because remember they want 9 million people in Melbourne by 2050. They're going to show up at Nana's house, and they're going to go, these 40 people are now living here. And you're going to go, fuck off my house. And they're going to go, not anymore, it's not. Because the Labor Party and the Liberal Party and the National Party do not genuinely believe in property rights. They believe in government has say over all property, and we just kind of let you rent it from us when it suits us. And we're now getting to the pointy end of the spear where they're going to go, sorry, Arnie Rowe. If you're watching,
I reckon we're all going to be
sitting down, show up.
We're all going to be sitting down the river with the black fellas. They kicked us off our country and they go.
Now you know how we feel. Yeah. Look, and fuck, there's an argument for that too. I don't know if you saw that Billie Eilish's dumb shit the other day. Now there's no, what is it? There's no owners of stolen land or some such shit. She just threw $1 million house in fucking wherever. These people are so full of shit. But, they're going to show up at your auntie or your nana's place with a busload of people and they're going to jam them in there and you're not going to have a fucking say. And they're going to turn around and tell you fucked is what they're going to do. And when you fight it, you will be arrested and you'll be criminalised. And you'll be criminalised for being a racist if you turn around and go, well, I don't want all these pricks living with me. And they'll give you some nominal fee and they'll fuck you over. And you or I, depending on how old we are, look, I'm hoping this happens sooner rather than later, and this is that makes me selfish or stupid. I'd rather this happens now. I want them to get it out of the way. Put your cards on the table, you fuckers, and let's get this fight done. Because I need to do it while I'm still physically capable of throwing a few. Because in 10 years' time, that's on our kids, that's where we're at. They're going to start stealing private property 100 mile an hour. They're going to use every trick in the book. Every lawyer that works for the government just got a pay rise.
But even if they don't do it so it'll
start gently.
Overtly.
It will start gently.
Well, they're doing it gently now. They're doing it with prices. They're doing it with house prices. They're doing it with a situation where they're just flooding the country with immigrants. They've got house prices going to the moon. They're basically removing the opportunity for young Australians to own property.
Absolutely, they don't want to own them.
They're doing it covertly. They're not doing it overtly, as so overtly as you're insinuating. But they are going to get to the point.
Oh, it's coming.
Yes, they've for the last 20 years they have had a program whereby they have suppressed wages relative to house prices.
Of course.
And what that basically has done is it's basically just removed the freedoms from the average Australian.
Well, and as the average Australian, and I reckon your kids would be right in this, I'm probably lucky I bought a house. Well, unlucky depending on how we're going to look at the next 10 years. But there are kids, I know your guys are a bit younger than what I am. If they haven't got a house yet, they're going to be pushing shit uphill to get one. When they do get one, they're going to squeeze them up, till they collapse. They're going to go over the bridge. They're going to be fucked. Unless mum and daddy can pull them out of the shit.
Well,
and then what's going to happen?
House prices are probably going to come down in the next month or two, but only because interest rates have gone up.
Well, even if they do, who can afford those mortgage repayments at that level? And then again, you're weighing off.
Well, you can
my kid play sport? No, they don't get to play sport because we don't fucking eat if the kids play sport. Yeah. We can't afford it. Yeah. And then you go, all right, what's next? When your kids, not necessarily your personal kids, but your generation's children, when they're broke and they're fucked and they're still trying to get ahead because they haven't quite given up on life yet, let's hope they haven't, who's going to be able to buy their house when they're bankrupt? It's not going to be fucking... It's not going to be their mate from work. It's not going to be some other similar person.
No.
It's going to be fucking BlackRock or the Australian version at the time.
Yes.
They're going to come and they're going to buy them and then rent back to these poor families who are going broke. Their own fucking homes at an extended fucking rent.
Don't worry, Albo wants to get in, and he wants to be halves with you in the house anyway. So when you go broke, Albo's going to take.
Well, so you're not even halves. That's thirds.
Yes.
You're in bed with fucking Albo, the bank, and the individual. And I tell you what, if there's a fight and it comes unstuck, I can tell you who's not going to lose. It's not going to be Albo and the fucking banks.
Yes.
So anybody silly enough to get on that train, my friend. But this is where we're crash course into.
But in the same breath, as an individual, I again, and I keep saying this, I'm absolutely pinching myself as to how good my life is at the moment.
Oh, look, my life's not bad either.
I went just the last month. My son was home over the Christmas period and I had a brother from Brisbane down and I've got a brother that lives over at Ganmain.
Yeah.
We went out on a fishing trip to the Murrumbidgee River a month or so ago.
Yep.
And it was the best fishing trip in the freshwater I've ever had.
Well, you won't be able to do that, so.
No, we had a wonderful time. It was fantastic. My wife and I, on the Australia Day long weekend, we travelled up to Thredbo.
Yep.
And we
Not a bad spot up there.
we caught the chairlift up to the top, and then we took a walk up to Kosciuszko and just sort of looked down on everyone there for half an hour.
It's not a bad spot up there either.
Yeah, well, it was nice. It was a really hot weekend down here in the lowlands, and it was lovely up there.
Yeah.
So that was another thing I've enjoyed. I had a really good weekend this weekend. Our order book is full. As I said, I'm just but what I'm looking at is, and what I can see that I've enjoyed some of the best living conditions that Australians have ever lived through. I know guys, I worked with old guys when I was a young fella who had it really, really tough.
Yeah.
And then I look at my old man and his generation, and they did it a bit easier, but they still did it a hell of a lot tougher than I've had to do it.
Yeah.
And I look at the lifestyle that I've enjoyed, and just the opportunities that I've had, and the ability to own a home and raise a family and still have a life.
Yeah.
And now I look at the hurdles that they're putting in front of my kids, and I actually think that I had more opportunity than they've got, and that's where it's tipping back the other way.
I don't doubt for a minute, and that's what I'm so pissed off about.
Yes.
That's what I look at. Yeah, look.
They should be getting it better, but they're not.
They should be having the best future laid out for them, where there are no limits. No limits. What's gone wrong is greedy.
Yes.
Arrogant, useless dickheads.
Yes, who make dumb decisions and give up. They're
not dumb decisions. They're making very well thought out decisions.
Yes.
That is getting them the exact fucking result they want. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt by saying they're too stupid or that they're gullible. And when you go, oh yeah, Albo's a dumb fuck. Yes, he is, but it's not dumb. He's following instructions.
And I'm sure he's being remunerated handsomely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's not dumb. It's just dumb to us because we're going, they're fucking us over.
Yes.
And instead of going, oh, well, he's not real bright, it's time to go, no, these people are fucking us.
Yes.
And there's no more nice ways to put it. I've had,
you know, I can't argue with that. Can't argue with that at all. I looked at it. There was a graph I saw on a report the other day about how much power countries output. And China is by far creating the most electricity of any country on the planet.
Yep.
And of course, what is the absolute critical resource that AI relies upon? Power. So China will, in the next 10 years, will probably have the greatest uptick in advancements, manufacturing, all of the benefits that this new technology is going to bring. And China's going to be at the forefront of it, and they're going to walk away from the rest of the world. China are already out manufacturing everyone in the globe. Donald's put all these tariffs on China. China is still increasing their exports.
Yeah.
They are a juggernaut. They are going. Elon Musk came out the other day and said he's going to pivot away from motor vehicles and focus on robots.
Yeah.
Now, that's because he's realised that China are starting to catch up and actually take the lead.
Oh, China
in the EV.
Car-wise, China are just shitting all over everybody.
Yes.
They're blowing all the old school companies into the weeds. Yes. Doesn't matter which one you look at. Whether Ford's under pressure,
yes.
Holden's gone,
yes.
GM's squeezing, Nissan are hurting.
Yeah.
Toyota's not what it once was.
No.
They're hanging on for dear life. They're hanging on to nostalgia. That's the only thing keeping Toyota at the front of the game. You know, all those big name car brands are absolutely hemorrhaging at the sides, and none of them have worked out how to fucking compete with this Chinese tidal wave that's coming.
Well, particularly when you consider how they can produce the raw materials at these lower costs, and they can just the whole supply chain is optimised.
Trump doesn't think so. I'd like to agree with him, but I'll just remind everybody with the Trump thing. I like him. I like him better than most of the others. I don't pray to the guy. He's also in his fucking 80s. If we're relying on one man who's seemingly got pretty big balls and some good ideas, I do like some of them. I'm a bit disappointed in a couple of areas. If we're relying on a guy of that age He's not going to be here for another 5 to 10 years. And I don't know if anybody else has the charisma or capability to take over from where he's sitting at. We'd all like to go, it'd be nice to see.
I don't know what the outcome of Trump's,
I don't know either.
of Trump's tenure is going to be, but I just know that China, for mine...
Victoria's going to be in the fucking dark, son. That's
Yes.
what Victoria's going to be.
China, for mine, is an irresistible force at the moment. I just don't believe that... the US have... Look, the US are a massive power, and don't worry, they've still got some tricks up their sleeves. I'm not saying that the US are gone, but what I'm saying is Trump's thrown the kitchen sink and just off at this point. And you know, the absolute loss that the US have got still can't match it with China when it comes to just making shit.
Oh, 100%. And you know what? Look, a big part of that is, you look at how they raise their children versus how we're raising ours. Our children think they're cats and fucking dogs.
Oh.
And their children are learning fucking calculus in year 3. Yeah. Now, I can't bring myself to kind of go, oh yeah, fuck, I want my kid doing calculus in year 3. But I can also see the difference between the way these Asian families drill their children academically to be smart, and they have no choice, and they're expected to be fucking amazing intellectually. Our kids are fucking licking windows, playing video games all day, playing chocolate machines like they've won the fucking lotto, watching fucking Bluey all day, or YouTube, or whatever crap they're watching all day, and they're fucking, I've got to chop my doodle off because I'm not sure if I'm a boy or a girl.
They're entitled and they're overindulged, and
we're fucked. Yeah. Our children have been spoiled to the point of retardation, and some do-gooders going to go, you can't believe you said that. I've got kids in that space too, and I'm looking at my young bloke going, mate, you need to fucking belt up. And I'm starting to drill him pretty hard because we're ending up in a position where we're getting, we're never going to be a superpower or a small country. We're always going to be at best a mid-tier player if we're lucky. But at the moment, we're not producing anything. We're not producing the best and brightest kids. Our kids are getting participation trophies. You read their fucking report cards, and I don't know sometimes that some teachers will get offended by this, some will kind of nod in a gentle agreement. Sometimes I don't know if the kids are smarter than the fucking teachers in certain circumstances. Some of these teachers that I've run into over the last few years haven't really impressed me much. And then you turn around and you look at what we're producing as a country.
Well, that's what I mean. You look at the whole dynamic. You look at how many people are working for the government or are dependent on a government handout.
We're fucking, that's ridiculous. We're at 50% of, what is it, 50% of the economy plus now, and the workforce is government related. Councillor Richard Foley's joined us. Dead set fact, just look it up, Saulus Lake. I understand too, mate, you were recently in China, so I appreciate your viewpoint on there. Post ScoMo. What do you mean? ScoMo was so good he had like 15 different jobs. I believe Bob Katter's just put his hand up and said he's going to take all of those positions that Morrison had. Every metric, every commodity, coal, steel, you name it. China shut the door on Australia because of those fuckwits in Canberra, the United States and Canada. We're right there taking it up. Yep. Yeah, don't disagree with you on any of that, mate. We stand up for ourselves. We've got the greatest, some of the greatest resources in the world, and somehow we're window licking.
And we're just squandering all of our. And this is the thing: all of our key, our competitive edges, we're just giving up.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, well, we hand out resources over 100 mile an hour, which should have the cheapest power in the world, which should be driving our businesses to be some of the best and most competitive businesses in the world. Instead, we can't build fucking anything.
If you need coking coal, brown coal, and iron ore to make steel,
yeah,
why do we throw it all on a boat and send it to China to have all that done?
Why are BlueScope Steel and mobs like that getting government handouts to top up their business because they're not fucking viable?
Yes.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Ludicrous.
Yeah,
we have everything that we need here to become certainly not a superpower, but certainly a power.
But we should be selling the finished product at the very least.
Absolutely. Or doing far better deals, getting far more fucking value out of our deals than we do, and we've just got idiots in charge. We have had for the last... I'm 45, right? So I guess I can kind of... I remember Bob Hawke being Prime Minister. Anything before that's probably a little bit before my time. And when I knew Bob Hawke, I just knew he drank beer and told everyone to have a day off. He wasn't really, I was a kid.
Yeah, but he was really popular. Minzy's going to give us a day off. He's trying to give us a day off for Anzac Day, but I don't know whether Minzy's as popular as Bob.
Minzy's dumb as a bag of fucking hammers.
Anyway, that's...
He's fucking useless. Anyway, they're all fucking useless. There's
A few things follow Minzy around. There's a few skills that you just can't seem to do it. But anyway,
I can think of about 5 in Parliament that you'd probably feed, maybe 10 if you really, really dug hard. The rest of them would not get a job in the private sector unless it was based on their pre-arranged deals from their political fucking gigs, because they are rotten to the core.
And anyone, this is another one thing I wanted to just touch on in relative to councils. And one thing that I've noticed in the last, well, I reckon it's just gone absolute batshit in the last few years. The council officers refuse to give us a report and a recommendation and actually put their balls on the line to some extent. So the strategy is now that I from what I can gather is they get a consultant. So everything that's contentious or everything that's going to take a little bit of vision or foresight, they'll pay someone who's got no real familiarity with the town or the situation, pay an outside consultant to do a report. They put that report before council and council votes on that report. If there's any problems with it down the track, of course it's the consultant's problem.
Of course. There's no accountability for anybody in the job.
No, the consultant doesn't care, they're gone.
Yeah.
And the council officers are free and clear.
Yeah.
It's a really sad state of affairs. In local council news, Coolidge Council have had a couple of senior management guys resign just recently. So the Mayor of Coolum, Dave McCann, had a post up that Tony Kelly, who was an engineer at council, and Colby Farmer, who was, I think he was in the charge of their building compliance.
So that name sounds familiar. I don't know. Should I know Colby Farmer, or is that just a name because it's got farmer in it that I kind of went named after cheese and a fucking occupation?
No, Colby came up. He gave a report. He has a business on the side doing consultancy for people who are doing building applications.
Oh, maybe that's where I've heard the name.
And he got me offside in one sense because in his day job he worked for a council.
Yeah.
But he helped some applicants in an application for a DA in Temora, and twice in the report he threatened that if council didn't pass it, that they might have to take it to the courts. So I'm thinking, wow, so you work for local government in your day job in the council next door to us, but then you're over here moonlighting,
pretending that you're a free marketeer on the other
side, and then basically threatening your next door neighbour that if we don't pass it, and I sort of resented that. I didn't think that was
fair call.
Anyway, that was just that's about. I haven't had any dealing with Colby.
Yeah, right. So I couldn't pick the guy out of the police lineup.
It was just a report. You get a report, and you've got a guy that works for a council every other day, next door neighbour.
Yep.
And then he's over here threatening us that if we don't pass his proposal, he's going to take us to court, or the owners of the property may. So it was mentioned twice in the proposal. So I raised that, and the mayor actually, I think that was the night that the mayor told me to be very, very careful.
Yeah, that was fun. I did enjoy that. I'd like him to say that to me one day somewhere. That'd
be very, very careful. And I think my response was, what are you talking about? Here's his job description. Here's his picture on the front of council's website.
Yeah. I don't need to be careful.
What do I have to be careful about? That's the facts. That's his job. That's what he does. What are we tiptoeing through the tulips about here? It's not state secrets.
It's mates rates, mate. There's something going on.
His name's Colby Farmer. He's in the building services section of Coolum and Shire Council. It's on their website. Mr. Mayor. What am I being careful about?
Yeah.
Anyway, like I say, and it's not. But that was just my opinion of the actual report and the way it came to. I was unusual that someone who, in his day job, he might find himself threatening non-compliant applicants or people.
Yeah, complete hypocrisy relative to his job in one
just seemed to
aspect versus the other.
Yeah, but
seems pretty shady to me. But anyway, they also pretty shady to me. Now, obviously, look, we're back. Dean and the Spin Doctors is back. So, for some of you who don't know, and I guess it's a late end, Once upon a time, I had a little radio show on a little radio station called TEMFM.
Yes.
That's a little community radio station. They asked me after the not last federal election, the previous the COVID federal election where I was a candidate. I did okay. But they asked me if I'd do a program. I made some agreements with the show. I'm doing the show. The concession that I really gave was one, it'll be between this time, and that I'll do my very best not to use naughty words. And I reckon I held my end of the bargain. That was the agreement to take on the program.
Just quietly, as a critic, that your show probably would have been one of the better rating shows on that station, and it certainly covered off. It was certainly livelier than most of the other offerings.
I would say, and again, this is you had
a long list of very high-profile guests.
We did. Mark Latham, somebody mentioned earlier, he appeared on Temora Radio here with me. Campbell Newman, former Premier of Queensland, performed on the show, or was on the show.
As a guest.
Nicola Charles, a former Neighbours personality. Bruce Shillingsworth, an Indigenous activist, and I disagree with Bruce on a ton of stuff. But he came on and we had a chat along many others. So, it was probably the most actively tuned into show, I would say, in that little entity's history. Not because, obviously through the day people have the radio on or whatever. I'm saying actively, oh shit, Dean's on the radio, we better go and turn that on. Now what happened was this fine gentleman got elected to council, upset a few people at council, started making some inquiries into things that caused people some aggravation. Some people don't like the truth. I, as a fairly open and honest forum, I said, mate, okay, if they're hammering you in the newspaper, which is clearly owned, I'll say it, it's more independent, for the last X amount of time has been owned by local council. You weren't getting a fair trot in there. Over this little radio show, you'd be more than welcome to come down and put your side of the story out. I also, during my spiels on the radio, would say anybody from council who'd like to come down and dispute these, debate these topics, refute anything that's being said.
But
you've
even
got
just put your point. Yeah, put your
more
point.
More than welcome to do
or
that.
Have a forum.
And I did that every single week for a long time. What happened was I arrived at the time. Now I believe we know that the president's no longer there because he made a 10-minute video, 10-minute spiel radio about a bunch of bastards over. Anyway, we'll play that for everybody again one day because it was fucking hilarious. Anyways,
that's the best radio that I actually came out of that place.
That was the funniest thing in the world. But anyway, I got this letter. The letter's still on my Facebook pages. You've got to go a fair way back to find them. But it was like it was written by a kindergarten kid telling me that I'm no longer allowed to talk about local community issues. It's a community fucking radio station, dummy.
Yeah.
And then also that this guy was banned from being on radio until further notice, to which I responded, he was elected by the community to be a councillor in the community, therefore I'll give him a platform. They gave me a week on, so I responded, and I think I was far more polite than just going, fuck off, but the gist of the email was, fuck off, and that won't be happening, which responded with another childlike letter, saying, well, we can't have you in the radio station and blah, 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 blah. So I posted all those letters up for public consumption. They were very upset about that. I pointed out recently that if you're going to send me bullshit nonsense, I'm just going to make it public because I don't fucking anything. We did. There was arrived at the radio station Thursday night. There was a little army of old people. All very cranky, wanting their key back. Not a problem. We walked out of the show. I didn't do the show that evening. I rang this guy and I said, we're going to do a regular weekly show on the internet, on the interwebs. We'll double the forum, we'll triple the forum, we'll run laps around these poor buggers. Now, that's been going on for over 2 years, I believe. So this little program has been going on for over 2 years. It's certainly our second Christmas period. Numbers are gradually, it's been growing week on week. I think we present great value. We don't charge anyone any money. We don't run any ads. What we do ask is you support the good people that you can support. If you want to follow my Facebook, Councillor Irvine's is Anthony Irvine at standupfortemora.com.au, whatever it is on Facebook. Jump on there, give him a like, give him a share, all that type of stuff. Any of the people that we mention quite often throughout the program, check them out. If you like them, support them. Other than that, tune in next week. We'll be here at the same time. We're pretty bloody consistent when we do this. I think for two blokes who do this for money, no financial reward for either of us here.
No, and some days it's a bit of a battle to get to get here and get it done when
Oh.
you're trying to balance a business and a heap of other things.
Businesses, family lives, we've got stuff going on left, right, and centre. We're committed. We're committed to doing this for you guys, for Australia, and for the transparency that it provides.
And
so we
purely
appreciate.
to maintain a voice for independence and a voice. One of the most absurd things. I went to a councillor induction workshop at the Australian Rules Club at Wagga after the most recent council elections.
Yes.
And a representative from ReRock was there, and they were talking about what councillors could and couldn't say and how they had to bring a fresh mind to matters. And they gave an example of a councillor up in Sutherland in Sydney who'd campaigned against a certain road or campaigned for the creation before council. They had to approach that with a clear mind and maybe reconsider what they'd campaigned on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bear it any longer, and I said, that's absurd. I said, we were sitting in a room with a councillor from Cootagundy guy who'd campaigned openly for the dissolution of this merged council. And the prospect of that person going into the meeting...
You need to change your mind.
And having a clear mind and approaching it all from a fresh slate was impossible.
Well, here's the fresh slate. I came in here to pull this joint to pieces. That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
I didn't come here to join your fucking gang.
Yes.
I didn't come here to kiss your ass. And I didn't come here to beg, plead and borrow.
That was an induction where there were fresh councillors. And basically, if I hadn't been in the room, they would have gone out with the impression that, we can't have an opinion.
Yes, yeah.
No. You have to have an opinion.
That's what
you get elected for.
Absolutely.
And that's what people are too scared of. This idea that there's no contentious issues is bullshit. I'm the only person in this joint that's put forward a viable or workable or costed or affordable heavy vehicle bypass that would get heavy vehicles out of the main street.
Yeah.
But I got poleaxed, I got vilified, I got dragged through the press for having the temerity to actually come up with some...
Come up with an option, something that's better than nothing, the fuck all you've been doing for years.
For 40 years they've been going around in circles and they haven't got anything on paper that the public are aware of.
Well, they might, but public aren't allowed to know to burn a napkin in Mummy's collection.
That's right, but there's nothing actually tangible or concrete. At the very least, in this term of council, I want to have a heavy vehicle route bypass on paper so that the community can know and understand that. That's my undertaking for this term of council.
Yeah, nice, good.
Now, in the meantime, it's pretty apparent that the heavy vehicle route is Hoskin Street.
Yeah, that's where you want the trucks going.
Well, that's where the B-doubles and the road trains are going at the moment.
Yeah, they're not real bright. But
well,
anyway.
Honestly, and that National Heavy Vehicle Regulator, if you put in for a permit to run from X to X and Temoria's in the middle, they'll put you straight up the middle of Hoskin Street.
Makes perfectly good sense.
So, that's the reality of it.
Dumbasses. Anyway,
you have created a platform. I wouldn't be here without you, and your outspokenness and your willingness to just take on the... for no real reward other than knowing that if you don't speak out, it's just going to get worse.
Look, I guess what I was trying to do there was just let these people know we've got 190 odd people watching at the moment, which is quite nice. I'm imagining a lot of them are tuning in for the first time.
And give us some background.
They've seen some shit that I've said, and now they're kind of, who's this bloke in the orange jersey? Where'd that come from? That's sort of where that all came from. But I've got a ton of people at the moment who are sending me some pretty wild messages. I had a fellow gentleman today reach out relative to the firearms laws and sort of pointing out that he went through some pretty dark times. And he's better now, but he's, feels a lot better knowing there's people like me rattling these cages because he went through an awful... There was a list, and I'm not going to talk about his list because that was, I think that was a pretty solid situation. And there are other names people are talking about, and they go, why don't you talk with this person? Why don't you work with this person? I don't know that person. I work with the people I do know. I'm happy to collaborate with people to a point, but I'll always be as independent as I possibly can. The other little portion from with these new hate speech laws and these fucking ridiculous things that they jammed through last weekend, for Andrew Hastie to go, oh, well, we voted for it because it was the best of a worst situation. Fuck you, Andrew Hastie.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with you, pal. I did make a video about that too because I don't care. But here's the reality. If they start locking people like me up and the people in the next wave who are cheering me on at the moment don't stand the fuck up, there's going to be nobody left. And they're going to come for people like myself first. It makes sense, right? They're going to go for that big chalky bloke. They're going to go for the Sam Bamfords. They're going to go for myself. They're going to go for these people who are all of a sudden starting to get a lot of views, right? That's only natural. They're going to get the big mouths first and they're going to try and make big examples of us. And people say, are you scared? I'm scared of what happens if I don't fucking do this shit. I'm far more scared about what happens to my children and grandchildren's future if I don't stand for this shit right fucking now and gun at these pricks wholeheartedly, hopefully with everybody ready to, support, fight, get their hands dirty if need be. Because if they get us out of the way, they're going to be pretty happy. But that Berlin Wall goes up pretty fucking quick if you take big mouths like me out of the way. And it's a fairly sobering realisation that, 5 years jail is on the table for anybody who fucking dissents or hate speech groups, uses naughty words, Mossad Min's exactly right, shut down places of worship, it's just a minefield. And it all ends up, to my mind, in the same place, which is, in a version of a gulag. We did the Australia Day thing in Wagga.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Australia, we had an egalitarian society that had a high amount of freedom. And look, if they're treating us worse than kids, they are treating us like they're our parents, and we've been naughty kids.
It's worse than that. They're treating us like we are their possessions.
Yes.
We're not 100%. Kids anymore. We are now possessions.
Yes.
Our work is only justified to pay their taxes to justify their fucking existence.
And they will continue to put stupid situations in it and add more and more people to the payroll, to the point that 10% of the working population are supporting 90%.
It's already getting towards that, and
Yes.
and it's gonna crack sooner than later. I hope it happens soon. I know that for some people it sounds counterproductive. Where I'm at is if this collapse doesn't happen soon, it's left for our kids and they're fucked.
And I think you've got to show up and do it all peacefully and do it with respect, but I think there's something sort of slowly getting put together for Anzac Day.
Yes, Councillor Andrew Thaler from up the Snowy, I know he's working on some stuff with, look, there's a big long list of names of people who are all trying to do different things, and people ask me what do you think of this person? If I don't know them, I'm going to say shit because I don't know them.
But
unless I think
still,
they're absolutely...
if they're going to take some time out of their own day to go to something and actually represent in the interest of the country,
put the work in, and they're going to try their best, and
in the interest of the country, and actually represent well.
And and here's what'll happen is somebody will get a bit of traction and they'll do something right, and then they'll throw out a t-shirt. Oh, see, they just want to make their business. It's like, well, no, they're just trying to pay their fucking bills, knowing full well there's going to be a legal case at some point. They're going to need some money in the kitty. They need a war chest. We're all going to need war chests because they're going to gun for us because all the government barristers just got a pay rise. No. It's not a coincidence, kids. It's by fucking design.
Anyway,
look, guys, tune in next week. Next Thursday we'll be here again. We'll be doing the same similar type thing. I love to see all you guys tune in. Ask your questions, make your comments, talk in the chat. Yes. I do try to show everything on there. My only rule is if you hate my guts, that's fine. I'll still show what you've got to say as long as it's under your real name and you got your real photo there. If you're going to come on some trolling shit with an imaginary fucking avatar or something, you can get fucked. Yeah. If you come on here and if you, Ethan Clark, get on there and you decide to say McRae's a dead set arsehole and I hate him, you do that under your name with your banner. I'll still put it on the screen because I'm a free speech absolutist. But if you're too cowardly to do it under your own name, you can get fucked.
Fair call. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. 2026.